Now, while the world is continuously plagued with more crises, another one seems to be going under the radar. It's the fentanyl crisis at our southern border, and it continues to be an issue, despite how much it's underreported. Over the last 8 months, U.S. officials seized more illicit fentanyl at Arizona's ports of entry than anywhere else on the U.S.-Mexico border. It's suggesting a possible shift in synthetic drug trafficking routes. And for more on these changing routes and more is someone whose family was drastically affected by the drug crisis and lost 2 of his brothers to drug addiction, Mike Sperazza. Mike, thank you so much for being here again. I always enjoy talking with you. Now, I always say the current crisis will always shadow the last, so you'll never truly know the truth about any of it. So we see these reports about the southern border being so bad. CBP spokesperson said there have been no changes to local enforcement efforts. Why do you think that is, and what needs to be done?
Well, I think part of the problem is they don't actually want to address the problem, right? The federal government has done this now for 2 years where they've actually enhanced the problem and not fixed it. Kamala Harris has been named the border czar, yet she'll go anywhere else other than our southern border. She was in Tennessee this week. I saw championing for getting those lawmakers the expelled repeal. But, this is when you don't actually want to take care of problems. They won't go away. What can you do? Well, you can shut the border down. That would be easy enough. What you can do is you can punish drug dealers for selling the drugs that are coming across this border, or punish those that are going to get those drugs from our country into Mexico and bringing them back. That's what I would do. You punish drug dealers and you punish the people that are supplying these drugs, because guess what? Without drugs, or the massive quantities of drugs, people will stop using the drugs. And if you help with mental health and you help people get off drugs instead of using safe shooting heroin zones, we will be able to get people off the drugs. It's very, very simple, actually, but our government doesn't want to address it. And it's almost at the point, Monica, I don't know, but it feels like they almost want these problems to continue in our country. I don't have any proof of that, but that's what it feels like when they refuse to address it.
And now, of course, you have China's government claiming it has no illicit fentanyl trade with Mexico, and it's up to us here in the U.S. to stop this current opioid crisis and strengthen our border. But just like you said, we haven't had any leadership at the border. Just like you said, Kamala Harris is nowhere to be found, as usual, and it feels like no one's paying attention. And we can keep making these calls to build the wall, strengthen police presence, but do you think we're getting to the point of no return here?
Well, I think you're going to know of that in about 2 years. If the Biden administration, or whoever the candidate on the left is, wins and they continue this for more than the next, I'll call it, year or two, yeah, I think it's over at that point. The voting rolls in this country are changing by the day, with people coming here and being able to vote that shouldn't be. But also, look, how many more kids, how many more young adults can we lose, or can we get hooked on these drugs before we have a serious problem in our country? We already do have a serious problem. And it's going to get worse. And again, if leadership doesn't want to help Americans, that's what they're here for. We vote them to help our country and help Americans, right? They don't care about us. I can't stress that enough. They just don't care about us. They continue to put themselves first. They don't care about kids. They don't care about young adults. They don't care about adults. They care about pushing through what they want to push through. And this is yet another example of it. Again, I'll use Kamala Harris and Secretary Mayorkas. They want nothing to do with this issue, and they've proven it for 2 years now.
Now, if you're critical of the Biden administration about this issue, and you're critical of Mexico, you are called a racist, and you're just denounced and written off. Why do you think that is, to be honest? Because it just seems like every time you call for action, it's like, well, you're just a racist. I mean, we have these exchanges on Twitter back and forth with Twitter trolls, and why is this always just a constant issue?
Well, I think it's 2 things. I think the left has done a great job of brainwashing their voters, and I really believe that. They push narratives. They had social media for a while, but they do it on their own television shows. They continue to push narratives. What's so crazy about it is, Monica, it's easy to find videos of thousands of people walking over the border, of the Arizona border, Texas border. It's all available for people, but we live in a very lazy society, and people don't actually want to do their own homework. So XYZ news station says this, and people buy it. And they continue to vote that way. It's really scary. Now, I'm going to finish with this, Monica. If the left spent as much time, and this administration spent as much time on helping fix our border as they do trying to arrest Donald Trump and put Donald Trump in jail, we wouldn't have a southern border crisis. I can tell you that much. If they spent as much time going after drug dealers, which are actual criminals, as they do going after Donald Trump, we'd have a lot better crime or a lot better crime statistics in this country. But again, they don't want to address the problem. They want to blame racism. They want to blame Donald Trump. They want to blame whoever, but they won't actually address the problem. And again, I'm usually an eternal optimist. I've become more of an eternal pessimist when it comes to a lot of these things because they don't want to address it.
Well, you hit the nail on the head yet again, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful Easter weekend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.